भद्रम् कर्णेभिः शृणुजामदेवाः भद्रम् पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितम् यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
ओम नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रुत्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे यैरिमे गुरुभिः पूर्वं पदवाक्यप्रमाणतः व्याख्याता सर्ववेदान्ताः तान् नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। We have completed the analysis, philosophical analysis of fourth shloka of Ramakrishna Aratrikam written by Swami Vivekananda. Now we will go ahead with fifth shloka. Bhanjane dukkha ganjane karunagane karma kathor pranarpana jagat tarane krindana kalidor. The general meaning of the shloka is, O Lord, you are the destroyer of abominable misery. You are the embodiment of mercy. You have done arduous actions. You have sacrificed your life for the good of world. You have cut asunder the bonds of Kali Yuga. This entire shloka describes about the glory of Avatara. What is the purpose of Avatara? What he did in the form of Sri Ram Krishna as Avatara, how the world and the spiritual seekers benefited, and what was the price for this arduous action. All these details are given in this shloka. First word is Bhanjane Dukkha Ganjane, destroyer of abominable misery. Bhanjanaha means destroyer. Bhanj means to destroy. Bhanjanaha means destroyer. Dukkha Bhanjanaha means one who has destroyed the Dukkham. Generally, in our Vedantic scriptures, the concept of sorrow is analyzed. If we observe our life, both happiness and misery are part of our life. No one can avoid any one of the two. But to get happiness, one has to plan, work, and spend energy and money. So much of struggle is there to get happiness. Even to get one-time food and be free from hunger, one should struggle. In Western culture they say there is no free lunch. But in India there are free lunches, especially for monks and beggars. So even to get one-time food, one should struggle. To get happiness in life, one should struggle. But If you observe, human being gets misery without struggling. Nobody prays to the Lord, "Oh Lord, please give me one misery." Nobody even wishes, nobody even imagines that I should have misery. Nobody works, nobody spends energy and time, money. But still, misery comes to us. So this concept of misery in human life is analyzed in our Vedantic scriptures. This misery is classified into 3 types of miseries. Tapatrayam, they call it. Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika. Based on the sources of misery, the misery is classified. Dukkham is classified. First source is Adhyatmika, one's own self. He himself is the cause of that particular misery. Another one is Dukkham caused by neighbors and society, the nation, culture, everything. That is called Adi Bhautikam. Third one is Adi Daivikam. Dukkham caused by unseen cosmic forces are called Adi Daivikam. Dukkham caused by neighbors, society, governments are called as Adi Bhautikam. Dukkham caused by one's own self is called Adhyatmikam. We may ask a question, how can I cause misery to me? I am struggling to get rid of misery. How can I cause misery to myself? When we ask, Vedanta says, there are many causes. Among them, 2 causes are important causes for which you are responsible. First is, from the relative angle, adharma is the cause. Indisciplined life is called adharma. If you follow discipline in your life, 90% of your misery will go away. So you are the problem and you are the solution. Indisciplined you is problem, disciplined you is solution. If a person follows dharma, then his chances of getting sorrow is very, very meager. This is from relative angle. From the absolute angle, philosophical angle, Atma Ajnanam is the cause of sorrow. To be ignorant of one's own real nature. These 2 reasons are from the individual's standpoint. That is, you are the cause for your misery. Being adharmic, you cause misery to yourself. Being ignorant, you cause misery to yourself. For example, there is a drunkard. He happily drinks alcohol and he pays for it. He celebrates it. He cheers it. And he condemns people who doesn't drink. So adharma not only is perpetuated by himself, he condemns dharma. So what is the reason? Suppose somebody offers you a dinner ticket. As even you go there, you are welcomed. Immediately the host comes and offers a big bundle. You open it, you find that there is 1 crore rupees. What is this, sir? This is our gift for attending the dinner. Oh, not only dinner is free, 1 crore rupees, gift also. So you are very happy. Then immediately butler provides a drink, a brown colored drink. And you ask, what is this, sir? This is called snake poison. As a warm-up exercise, we give this. Any dinner will have warm-up item. You know better than me. Initially they used to give some soup, na? So for a change they have given snake poison. Snake poison? Like that you ask with wonder. He says, yes sir, that is a tradition here. Then what you will do? You will search your packet, find out 1,000 rupees and put above the packet of 1 crore and offer to the host, sir, I will give 1 crore 1,000 rupees. Please drink this appetizer. So you don't drink it. Why? You know, poison is equal to death. Even if it is offered with 1 crore rupees gift. Okay? Then the host says, this is the way of, generally we fun with guests. So, I take back that poison and I am giving you alcohol. Immediately this fellow takes back his 1,000 rupees and 1 crore rupees also puts in the packet and takes that alcohol. What is the difference between snake poison and alcohol? Please tell. Both are going to kill. One is immediate death, another is death by installments. But this fellow responds to one situation one way, not ready to die immediately, but ready to die in installments. What is the problem here? If you analyze, his understanding capacity is very, very low. So, adharma is caused by ignorance. Adharma is caused by ignorance about dharma and adharma. Therefore, Shastra says, conduct yourself with dharma. Majority of your problems are caused by adharmic actions. No, I am dharmic. I never did anything wrong. Still by genetic, I got this disease. If you say, Shastra says, in this birth you are dharmic, but in the previous births, you might have done something adharma, therefore only this punishment is given. Like that, adhyatmika dukkham is explained. From the standpoint of philosophy, ignorance about oneself, ignorance about one's own real nature is the ultimate cause of suffering. Ignorance about one's own real nature is the ultimate cause of suffering. How? A person doesn't know that he is infinite entity. That person doesn't know that he is not body. Therefore, he causes the suffering for himself. Nobody suffers by any suffering to the body. Nobody suffers by any suffering to the body. There are so many bodies are suffering in the world. If you go to hospitals, you will find so many bodies are suffering. I don't suffer because of that body suffering. But if this particular body suffers, immediately I suffer. Why? Because I consider this particular body in the creation is myself. What is the reality about myself? The reality about myself is I am not body. I am all-pervasive conscious entity. Aitad atmyam idagam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi shvetaketo. Upanishad says, that conscious entity which is the cause of the entire creation is you yourself. That is the fact. Ignorance of the fact makes me to identify with one particular body and claims oneself as This body is me. My teacher used to say, if you say you are stout, you are not intelligent. You have to meditate on this statement. If you say you are stout, you are not intelligent. If you are intelligent, you will not say that you are stout. Let us analyze this statement. If you say you are stout, that means what? Stoutness belongs to body. Pointing out that body, size of the body, you say, I am stout. That means what? I am body. If I am body, I am not intelligent. Intelligence belongs to mind. Intelligence belongs to mind. If you are body, you are not mind. One time you say I am stout, another time you say that I am intelligent, next moment you say I am hungry, then you say I am unhappy, then you say I slept. All the 5 statements. I am stout, I am intelligent, I am hungry, I am unhappy, I slept. All these talk about different things. When I say I am stout, I point out the physical body. When I say I am intelligent, I point out the thinking faculty. When I say I am hungry, I point out physiological prana shakti. Because dead body doesn't say I am hungry. If body has hunger, all mortuaries will have trouble. There are a lot of mortuaries in government hospitals, so they have to take care of those bodies. If body has hunger, so the attendants of mortuaries will be very busy. Go on giving coffee, tea, tiffin. Imagine. So body doesn't have hunger. Body doesn't have intelligence. If I say I am body, I cannot say I am intelligent. If I say I am body, I cannot say I am hungry. Then I say I am unhappy also. Body doesn't have any happiness or unhappiness. If body has a happiness or unhappiness, when the mother cries in front of her husband's body, oh, you are gone, then immediately that body will get up, don't cry. I am unhappy, seeing your unhappiness, I am unhappy like that. So body doesn't have unhappiness. Then I say I slept. Who sleeps? So Vedanta says, please understand the confusion surrounding the word I. One is different from another. Thinking faculty is different from physical body. Physiological forces are different from physical body and thinking faculty. Emotional personality is different from other 3. The sleeping personality is different from other 4, right? So please tell what you are. We contradict our own statement. It is like telling, early morning telling I am human being, by 9 o'clock telling I am dog, by 11 o'clock I am donkey, by 1 o'clock I am monkey. If a person claims like that or behaves like that, where the person will be put? Kilpakkam Medical College, mental hospital. Imagine, entire world is like these patients. Here and there some doctors, imagine. Number of patients are 6 billion. Number of doctors may be 600 or 6,000. What the doctors will tell? They will keep quiet. Because they cannot treat all. Bhrantalaye vicharanti sarva. Bhagavan Shankaracharya writes. It is like mental hospital. Whole world is mental hospital, wherein all ignorant people live and behave like mental patients. How can you say that all are mental? You see, 5 contradictory statements he is telling. How to find out somebody is mental? Please tell. If you take a patient to a psychiatrist, what he will ask? What's the problem? Then the family people will tell, like this he is speaking. All talks are inconsistent. Correct? Inconsistency is a sign of insanity. Inconsistency about one's own identity is a sign of insanity. The inconsistency which is expressed in these 5 statements: I am body, I am intelligent, I am hungry, I am unhappy, I slept. Glaring inconsistency. Therefore, Shankaracharya says, a person who doesn't have consistent personal identity is called insane. The problem is, majority is that side, minorities are doctors. So all the patients in the hospital declare the doctors as patients. This is what now. All the ignorant people declare the wise man as a patient. Abhaye bhayadarishinaha, bhaye abhayadarishinaha. Because of this inconsistent personal identity, this person goes to acquire something which is the source of bhaya. Money, relationship, sensory pleasures, all the 3 are source of suffering. He goes with all mind. Money, relationship, and sensory pleasures are the source of sorrow, therefore source of fear, but still, because of ignorance, he goes towards these 3 things. If money is the source of happiness, all millionaires will be happy. If relationship is the source of happiness, there will not be any divorce in courts at all. There will not be quarrels between brothers at all and sisters at all. But general mind goes towards these 3 things. Every sensory pleasure is a source of unhappiness. Yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkha yonaya evate. Adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Bhagavan says in Gita. Yehi samsparshaja bhogaha. Samsparshaja bhogaha means sensory pleasures born out of contact between person and the object of senses. Dukkha yonaya evate. Potential danger in producing dukkha. No, I am not seeing like that. When I eat ice cream, it is nice only. What Swami you are telling? When I drink that special drink, it is nice only. Have you experienced any time? Try once. You also will join with me, that fellow says. Then Bhagavan says, Nateshu ramate buddha. If you are intelligent, you will not go for it. How can you say that it is a source of sorrow, misery? Bhagavan says, Adyantavanta kaunteya. That which has beginning will have an end. Very nature of having beginning and end is a source of misery. So these are all deep philosophical approach to human beings' life from the Vedanta. Neither money, nor relationship, nor sensory pleasures are going to make me happy. If money is going to make me happy, if I consider, then all rich people should be happy. I find rich people are unhappy. Not only that, poor people are more happy. A monk who doesn't have 10 rupees even in his packet, who doesn't know where he will get food, where he is going to stay, is more happy. In India, you will have contrast and comparison. Outside India, if you beg, you will be arrested. Okay? Outside India, especially in Western culture, any person who doesn't have money, relationship and sensory pleasures is called holy hogo. New word they have given. They will ask, do you have bank account? No. No profession? No job? No job. Relations? No. I did Shraddha. Even to my parent, I did Shraddha. Shraddha, you know, the ritual which is done for departed souls. No one? No one. Then, what is your entertainment? No entertainment. Then what you do? When somebody gives food, I will eat. Otherwise, I will fast. And study, meditate. No cinema? No cinema. Then that person gave this name, it seems, Holy Hogo. So like that, whole world is deprived of this knowledge. The knowledge that I don't require anything for my security, peace and happiness. I can make use of them, I can transact with them, but for my security, peace and happiness, I don't require anything. Either whole world is mine, all living beings are my relations, or nothing in the world is mine, no one is my relation. Vedanta says you can stay as Ishvara or as Brahman. If you say whole world is mine and all are my relatives, you are called Ishvara. If you say no one is my relative, nothing is mine because all are appearances only, then you are Brahman. But we choose to live as individual Jiva. This Jiva Srishti is caused by self-ignorance. So whole problem is because of this self-ignorance. I don't know about myself that I am Akhanda Vastu. What about protecting this body? What about living in this world? Bhagavan says, Indriyani indriyartheshu vartante iti dharayan. This body is a product of certain actions, purva karma. That karma will take care of this body. Even if you sit in a cave, deciding that I will not eat food, that I will not go for bhiksha, that I will not go for begging, people will come and force you to eat. I am not talking about some mystical thing. One woman decided, I will not eat as long as this military rule is relieved. Last 14 years he was force-fed. Understand? Even if you decide that I will not eat, society will come and feed you forcibly as long as this body is having that karma. What is that mother's name? Irom Sharmila. That mother name is Irom Sharmila. She openly declared, I will fast unto death. But government was not allowing to die. Government means what? Society. So society will feed. Bhagavan says, Indriyani indriyartheshu vartante iti dharayan. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavit. If you are a tattvavit, you will know this fact. Entire thing is governed by a superior force. Even little bit observation will give you this knowledge. We put 4 idlis into our stomach, then forget it, okay? At least 4 hours we forget it. That idli becomes blood and flesh. How it is converted, you please tell. Do you do anything? Do you convert idli into flesh? Please tell. Does anybody does anything to convert food into flesh or blood? There is cosmic law taking care of this body. Do you do anything to breathe? After coming out from the mother's womb, if a child don't breathe, what the doctor or nurse does, the child is put upside, gives a beautiful slap. Welcome to this world. Then you ask, why you are beating child? The doctor will tell, no, the child has to breathe. So there is a cosmic law which takes care of this body from day one, from minute 1 to last minute. If the body has to survive, it will survive. I happened to meet a Swami in Himalayas. He lived there in -20 for 32 years without coming down. Some 8 years before I met him. It was a great wonder for me. That Swami name is Swami Satyananda Ji Maharaj. A great Advaitin, Shastrajna, very hefty body. So when I met him, it was a wonder for me how in -20, no power, no electricity, no guests, no visitors, how he lives. So I asked, Maharaj, what you do for your food? Immediately he gave a slap to me. It's a big slap. Ajanu Bahu. 7 feet. Very healthy person. So they used to call winter tiger. Even military comes down. In winter, 6 months, military comes down to lower plains. But this Swami and other some 12 or 13 sadhus were living. Among them, he was the most senior, 32 years in those days, 2008. I am telling about 2008. He gave a slap. What? Is this the question a monk can ask to another monk? Like that he asked. I don't find any wrong in this question. Then immediately he told, you fellows believe the local guarantee cards, not aware of Bhagavan's guarantee card and not believing the Bhagavan's guarantee card, like that he scolded. Then I understood what he wants to tell. That Bhagavan has given guarantee card. If anyone has given entire life for me, I will take care of his yoga kshema. So Ananya Chintayanto ma yejana paryupasade tesham nityabhiyuktanam yoga kshemam vahame. I reeled out this shloka. Hearing this, one more slap he gave. I was wondering why the second slap. First slap is okay. Why the second slap? He told, you fellows, reel out the shlokas without understanding the real meaning of it, like that he told, my Lord protects me wherever I am. What a conviction. Staying in -20 and 30, even Ganga freezes. No water also. Entire Ganga freezes. In that condition, he lived. Recently, he passed away. What a conviction, you see. Even if you are living in -20, in a cave where there is no electricity, no visitors, still, if the body has to live, it will live. It's a great fact, but it's not easy for us to accept. Therefore, Shastra says, this ignorance about the facts about life, this non-acceptance about the facts about life, this mismatched values, considering Bhaya Hetu as Abhaya Hetu and Abhaya Hetu as Bhaya Hetu. Bhagavan is Abhaya Hetu. Bhagavan is the real protector. But we consider him as Bhaya Hetu. If anyone tries to give up his entire life for the sake of Bhagavan, what we say? Family members? No. Don't go for sannyasa. Don't become a monk. Who will take care of you? As though married people give assurance to each other. I will live as long as you live. And we will take care of us both each other. And we will die spontaneously at the same time. Because anyone dies before, then this assurance is breached. Is there any guarantee that wife or husband will live up to your life? Or is there guarantee that she will be in a healthy condition to serve you? Or is there any guarantee she will be willing to serve you? But ordinary mind thinks that is a Abhaya Hetu. Being in relationship with others is a Abhaya Hetu. Shastra says, Dudiyadvai Bhayam Bhavati. Dudiyadvai Bhayam Bhavati. If there is second person in your life as your own, when you say, my own, then Bhayam Bhavati. So, this ignorance is the cause of Adhyatmika Dukkham. Because of this ignorance about the facts about life, about dharma and adharma, a person does adharmic action. He knows, the drunkard knows the alcohol kills so many people. Still, he continues to drink and he says, I will not be affected. Every drunkard has this. Bhagavan gives a warning about this creation, about the life. Like a mobile company wala gives a warning in a manual. Okay? So, this fellow purchases that mobile, Samsung mobile for example. Nowadays it is busting, na? So, he purchases, as even he was using, it busts. So, this fellow goes to court and complains, company has cheated me, caused the damage, so I should be given so much of money. Then the company wala was asked to come to court. Then company wala says, I did not cheat anyone. How can he say? Please ask the person to read the manual. First line itself I have written there. Don't purchase my company mobile, it may burst. What the judge will ask the victim? Did you read this? One victim may say, no sir. Another victim may say, yes sir, I read it. Then why you purchased? Sir, it happened to another person, sir. I thought it will not happen to me. This is how human life is going on. Bhagavan told about this creation. He is the manufacturer of this creation. He told Anityam, Asukam, Lokam. First line. This loka is anitya, asukha. It is subject to arrival and departure. Any blessed thing in your life is subject to arrival and departure. Father, mother, brother, sister, husband, wife, wealth, position, power, knowledge, ignorance, all are subject to arrival and departure. Therefore only it is the cause of misery. Asukam. That's the definition for the product. This fellow says, one fellow says, I don't know this. Then second fellow says, I read it but did not believe it. That's how. Only a person with intelligence asks, okay, Anityam Asukam product, somehow I am put here. How to handle this product, please tell. Bhagavan says, Bhajasvama. Catch me. Catch 22. Catch 22 means it is not visible for you, but you have to catch me. The catch 22, they say, na, like that. Catch me. How to catch you? Not available in front of me. None of my sense organs show that you are available. Nor my mind can understand you. How can I? Then Bhagavan says, whatever you see in the creation is me. Idam Brahma, idam Kshatram, ime Loka, ime Deva, imani Bhutani, idagam Sarvam, yadayam Atma. No, I don't understand. Then Bhagavan says, go to a person who understood this. Tad vidhi pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya. Go to him, serve that wise man and try to catch me. How to catch an entity which is available all the time in all places? Please tell. How to catch an entity which is available here and now? If it is available here and now, why should I catch? Let us answer the how afterwards. Why should I catch? You say that you are available here and now. Oh Bhagavan, why should I catch you? Then Bhagavan says, are you convinced that I am here and now? If you say yes, then you will not have suffering. You will not have suffering. Suffering is because of ignorance that there is someone other than me. There are so many parts in my body. So one is not quarreling with another part of the body. Even if inadvertently some accident happens, like teeth harming the tongue, inadvertently happens. I keep quiet. Why? I am fully convinced teeth also me, tongue also me. If somebody's teeth bites me, what I do? Take one hammer and break his teeth. If my own teeth bites my tongue, what I do? Narayana, I will pray. Bhagavan's nama will come if a person is good. Have you experienced that? Tongue bite by your own teeth. Very painful, but you cannot do anything. You cannot do anything. You will accommodate. Teeth also say sorry. Because of over desire in eating. Instead of biting idli, I bite you. So the knowledge of oneness makes a person free from sorrow. Even if something bad happens to him physically. Therefore Bhagavan says, one should get this knowledge. To get this knowledge, one should go to a person who is endowed with this knowledge, and you can learn from that person only if you are a dharmic person. Only if you are a matured person with dharma. So adhyatmika tapam is the problem. The solution is self-knowledge. Then second type of misery, tapam, is adi bhautikam. Misery born out of others. For this also, Vedanta says, your self-knowledge can efface this misery. There are no others at all. There is no second entity at all. And even if that second entity is going to harm, it can harm only my body, not me. All suffering belong to body and mind, not for consciousness. All suffering belong to body and mind. So when the wise man is convinced that I am not body and mind, when he is totally convinced that I am all-pervasive conscious entity, there is no possibility of neighbors or society or government can inflict any suffering on this person. In Alexander's life, they used to tell one story. When Alexander wanted to conquer India, when he started, his teacher told, you are going to India, be careful. Nobody came back successfully. In two meanings. One is it is impossible to conquer India. There may be physical death, or there may be death of your desire at all. After going there are a lot of dadiwalas you may meet. These dadiwalas are not ordinary fellows. They will convince you to give up this very desire of conquering the world. So be careful. So Alexander asked, what can I bring from India? Then that teacher told, it seems, if possible, bring one dadiwala. One dadiwala means who? Wise man. One rishi you bring. So, when Alexander came, he was very busy in conquering the land and other thing. In between, this idea of gifting his teacher was coming. So he sent people, find out where these dadiwalas are there. These wise men. So how to find out a wise man? Please tell. How to find out a wise man? Impossible. One criterion is there. Wise man will not have fear. Wise man will not have fear. Because he is wise. The wisdom is, there is no second entity about which I will have fear. I am everything. So this was the criterion. So he asked the soldiers to search a fearless person. They found a Swami was lying on the sand, river bank. And when they claimed that we are soldiers of Alexander, the conqueror of the world, Alexander the Great, the Swami saw that person and he continued, what? Are you not afraid? Again one more darshan, that's all. So they went and informed Alexander. Alexander came. Do you know who am I? The Swami saw. You have to imagine, meditation. Right side soldiers, left side Alexander, center, lying down, naked, putting one leg on the other, like a child, like Gopala, child Krishna. So he saw, I am the Alexander the Great. Oh. What? Oh? Don't you believe? Who gave this name? I myself have taken this name, Alexander the Great. He himself declared. Alexander was his name given by mother. Alexander the Great was added by this fellow himself. Declared, self-declared. Oh. What do you want? Don't you have any fear? No. I will kill you if you don't respect me and stand up. Then he laughed, it seems. This is the greatest lie I heard ever. What? Really I can kill you? And that time the Swami laughed and told, you can kill my body, not me. Ah. ununderstandable statement. For Alexander, this is an ununderstandable statement. You can kill my body, not me. That means you are not body. You can kill my body, not me. Then who are you? I am the killer, killing sword and killed. So this fellow got confused. Because these are all the terminology only understandable by a matured mind, an Indian mind. So he was convinced, oh, this is the man. Because when my teacher speaks, I don't understand much. So when he speaks, I am not able to understand. Therefore he must be a wise man. Sir, please come to our nation. For what? I will provide you everything, whatever you want. You will be very happy there. Then that Swami told, how I am now. Now also you are happy, but you will be very happy. No, I am not interested in coming there. Sir, I will kill you. Just now I told you, you cannot kill me. Then, being humbled, Alexander asked, Sir, what can I do for you? The Swami told, before you people coming, I was enjoying nice early morning sunshine. And you fellows came and obstructed that sunshine. Please just move away. You see? Nothing can be given to him as gift. Nobody can even threaten him. Why? Because of this knowledge that there is no second entity. I am not body. All bodies are governed by karma niyati. As long as this body has to live in this world, nobody can destroy it. Even if it destroyed, I am not destroyed. Even if it is tortured, I am not tortured. Nobody is there other than me. This knowledge will remove the Adi Bhautika Tapa. It's okay, this is with regard to a wise man. What about ignorant people? Majority are there only. They are crying. For their cry only, Bhagavan comes as an avatara to set right the conducive atmosphere to practice values. Adi Bhautika Tapa, suffering born out of social condition, is because of adharma in the society. If I am adharmic, I am responsible for my adharma. If society is adharmic, how can I be responsible for? So when an ignorant devotee cries for help, external help, oh Lord, as long as I don't get knowledge, I am subjected to these type of sufferings. Will you not help me? You are the creator. You should sustain this creation by providing conducive atmosphere for living beings to live. The conducive atmosphere is re-establishing the supremacy of dharma. Therefore Bhagavan says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. More details we will see in the next class. Niranjanam nityam anantarupam bhaktanukampa trida vai Ishavattaram parameshamidhyam tam Ramakrishnam shirasa namami. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.